Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. The fact that I say welcome back means that my first video is officially done. I was so nervous to start my channel and I put it off for so long, but I knew that it was just kind of a case of just making that first video, just jumping in and just doing it, and I'm so happy that I did. In this video, I want to talk about anxiety symptoms. I feel like my Instagram page has become a place where that's the main thing that we talk about. Simply because when you have anxiety, you have the physical symptoms, and that's the scariest thing to deal with. When you just start suffering from them, you have no idea what's going on. If you don't even know that you have anxiety, you start to think that you have a medical issue. When I started suffering with them, I was probably in my mid-20s, and I had no idea what was happening. For me, it started out as dizziness, extreme dizziness, whenever I left my apartment, whenever I went out. And it got to a point where even when I was in my apartment, which was supposed to be my safe space, my comfort, I would even get dizzy at home. Like I'd be watching TV and I would just get extremely dizzy and lightheaded out of nowhere, and I would go into a full-blown panic from then. And then all these other symptoms started to manifest, and it became this whole spiral of just constantly Googling my symptoms, freaking out because Google never leads you down a good road. It always tells you something bad. Even I would end up on online forums where people are talking amongst themselves, and if someone just left a question and someone answered saying you should really go see a doctor, that doesn't sound good. I would go into a panic and I would freak out and I would obsess over symptoms 24/7. And I know that if you're watching this and you have anxiety symptoms too, you have symptoms on a daily basis, then you know exactly what I mean. So I feel like my anxiety page has become a place where that's the main thing we talk about, simply because that's the scariest thing. When you have symptoms all the time, you want to know what's happening to you, and it can get to a point where you genuinely believe something is wrong with you. So yeah, I've probably had every single anxiety symptom that you can imagine. I just put a post up on Instagram sharing practically every symptom that I can ever remember having, and there were even one or two that I left out. Some people commented and shared some of their symptoms, and then I realized, oh, I had that too, and I actually forgot I left it out of the post. But I just thought it was a nice thing for you guys to save so you can refer back to it and just kind of have that reassurance and validation when you're feeling really, really panicked. When I started suffering with anxiety symptoms, there was a site that I would refer back to again and again. It's called anxietycenter.com. I'll link it in the description box, or I'll link it in here somewhere. That site really, really helped me. They list basically every single anxiety symptom you can possibly imagine, and every single time a symptom would come up, I'd immediately open up the site and I would find my symptom, and then just reading why that symptom was happening, just so that it made more sense, that gave me so much comfort and so much peace and so much relief. And it was a site that I must have opened multiple times a day, and I just remember how good it felt to have my symptoms validated and to know that I was okay and that it was normal. And when I started my Instagram, and the whole point of starting this channel is that I want to help people that are suffering the way that I was. So you don't have to Google and end up in some really scary places that can really just push you into a panic spiral even deeper. So this video, I just want to talk a little bit more about symptoms. I want to explain why they happen. I think that is the most important thing, is before you can start to treat anything or heal anything or find ways to even just manage it day to day, you need to understand why it's happening, where it's coming from. So for me, obviously when my symptoms started, I didn't know what was going on. And when I went to my doctor and he prescribed medication for me, he didn't exactly sit down and explain to me why I was having physical symptoms. He just said it's anxiety. But that didn't make sense to me, because how come I would get tingling in my skin? How could that be anxiety? For me, anxiety was just feeling maybe your heart beating really fast, or feeling stressed, or having scary thoughts. I didn't think about any of those weird symptoms like dizziness, brain fog, muscle twitches. That didn't make sense to me. So when those symptoms came up and I Googled them, I would naturally start to think there was something medically wrong with me. So I think the most important thing is to first explain to you guys why symptoms happen. So basically, when we are stressed, our body will react accordingly. We tend to think of our bodies as putting us in harm's way or trying to hurt us, but the whole body is always trying to keep us safe. So we have these tiny glands on top of each kidney that are called our adrenal glands. And when we are faced with stress of any kind, it can be real, it could be a scary thought, anything, any kind of stress, then our adrenal glands release stress hormones. And these stress hormones are designed to protect us, to try to keep us safe, to try to keep us alive. Those stress hormones are responsible for that fight or flight response. So think about a very real threat, like a very real situation. You're on a hike, you're in the wilderness, and you come across a bear. And immediately your body is going to go into that fight or flight mode. Your body is going to be flooded with stress hormones. And the reason that this is happening is because your body wants to keep you alive. It knows there's danger and it's doing what it's supposed to do. This is natural. This is what your body is designed for. So this flood of stress hormones is either going to help you to become really strong so you can fight the threat in front of you. In this case, I would recommend not doing that. Or it's going to help you to run away. It's going to help you to think more clearly, to think more logically, so you can try to work your way out of this situation. Like, all these things are going to happen. And in this situation, when you're faced with the real threat, that makes sense because you need to get away from the bear. You're trying to stay alive. So this flood of adrenaline through your body can make you extremely strong or can make you extremely fast. But you're not stopping to think about the little other things that are happening while your body is being flooded with stress hormone. So all your mind is focused on is staying alive. But when there isn't a real threat in front of you and the same hormones are being released through your body, like say you're standing in line at the grocery store or you're sitting at your desk at work, it doesn't make sense because there's nothing that you're trying to run away from, or there's nothing that you need to be protected against. So in this situation, you're going to sit and you're going to focus on every single thing that's happening in your body. So that flood of adrenaline through your body that would rush to your arms to make you stronger, that you're going to be so focused on that feeling of the blood in your arms, you're going to feel like the tingling, and you're going to be like, oh my god, my arms are tingling. What is happening? Like, am I having some neurological thing, or am I having a stroke, or what's happening? Or you're going to have a rush of blood to your head to help your brain so you can think clearer, and you're going to feel lightheaded and dizzy, and you're going to wonder, like, why do I feel dizzy? You're not going to think, oh, this makes sense because I'm in a dangerous situation. You're just going to wonder why you're having these weird symptoms. So you're probably wondering, well, okay, it makes sense if you're faced with a bear or like a really real threat and then that flood of adrenaline happens. But if you're sitting at your desk at work or you're in line at the grocery store, why does it happen? So the thing with our brains is that it doesn't always know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat. So if you're at the grocery store and you have a lot of anxiety going on, you've been under a lot of stress, and you even just have a stressful thought like, oh, I feel that line looks really long, I feel anxious waiting in the line, or there's too many people around me, I don't like to be in crowds. Your body is going to react the same way that it would if you were faced with a real threat. So you're going to have the same stress response happen, but obviously you don't need the same response to happen in this situation. Another question that I got just the other day, and this is something that I wanted to address, was a guy asked me, he said, what if I'm not doing anything stressful? What if I'm feeling totally fine? I'm not feeling stressed in any way, and then all of a sudden I just start to experience anxiety symptoms. So my answer to that is that there's always a trigger. There's always something that sets it off. You're not going to get a flood of adrenaline through your body for absolutely no reason at all. Like, sometimes it will make sense, obviously, if you are in a life-threatening situation, or if you have that scary thought and your brain doesn't know the difference between, what's real and what's not. But if you're in a situation where it doesn't make any sense, there is something that's triggering that response. Sometimes it's not always obvious. Like for me, one of the things that was triggering my anxiety symptoms was food sensitivities. Like, there were a lot of foods that I was eating that were actually causing the stress response to happen in my body over and over again. That was just one thing. There were many other things contributing, but that was something that I didn't even think of at the time. So, for example, your anxiety, if it doesn't make sense to you, it could even be something that you're eating that's causing the stress response to happen. And that would be something that's not as obvious, that's way less subtle, so it doesn't make sense, but there's that trigger. Or you could be feeling totally fine in your day-to-day life right now, but then there's something traumatic in your past that you didn't deal with, or there's a lot of stress that you've had going on over the years that you didn't properly deal with. So you feel okay now, you think you're fine, but all that stress is actually catching up with you and it's coming out in another way. And this way will be those physical anxiety symptoms. So it doesn't always have to be super obvious. Like, I've had a lot of people say to me, oh, it makes sense that those symptoms happen because I was having all these really negative, intrusive thoughts. Oh, okay, I get it. But then there's other people that say, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I felt totally fine and my symptoms came out of nowhere. That's what it seems like, but there's always something that's bringing on those symptoms. So now I just want to quickly mention a few symptoms that you could get. That post that I put up on Instagram, I listed every single symptom I can ever remember experiencing. Some of the top ones for me was dizziness. Again, the rush of blood to your head to help you to think clearer. That can cause you to feel really dizzy, lightheaded, off balance. Can cause your brain to feel kind of foggy. Another cause of that could be your blood rushing away from your head to areas where it thinks you need it the most. To your arms to make you stronger, to your legs to help you run faster, and that rush of blood away from your head can cause you to feel completely off balance. Again, if you are in a serious situation where you need to run or you need to fight, you're not likely to be sitting there and thinking, oh, I feel dizzy. You're more likely to be fixated on these symptoms when it doesn't make sense. Like when dizziness happens for no logical reason because there's no real threat in front of you. Another really big symptom that I used to struggle with was muscle twitching. And it's something that I still get when I'm really anxious or when I'm really stressed. And I know a lot of people deal with what I'm about to talk about next, which is muscle, like tense muscles. And that's where the twitching comes from. So a lot of us are like, and I do this too still, like you don't realize that your shoulders are up around your ears, like especially when you're stressed and you're like, oh, I'm stressed, but I'm dealing with it. And then you're sitting like this, but you don't even know you're sitting like that. So that's something to really be aware of, to just like drop your shoulders, because that muscle tension can cause all sorts of other things. That's when you start to feel that neck tension. That's when you get those tension headaches, that tight feeling in your head where it feels like your head is going to explode. And then when your muscles are tight like that on a regular basis, those tight muscles, it leads to twitching muscles. And I used to get twitching all the time. That was a really, really scary symptom for me. I would get it constantly. I would panic about it all the time. I would get it in, there was this one time I had a twitching in my wrist that extended into my fingers, and I thought that I for sure have some degenerative disease. And I was so fixated and so obsessed with this symptom that I would literally, like, if I pressed on my wrist, I noticed that the twitching would get better. So I would walk around all day, like just holding my wrist like this. Like I looked so sad. And I was so focused on it that it went on for, I'm not kidding, it probably went on every day, all day for about 3 months, like constantly. I was so freaked out. I can't even tell you how worried I was about that. And when I started to understand my symptoms, that's when a lot of my physical symptoms would start to subside, or they just got better. When you don't know what's happening, you have no idea, it makes absolutely no sense. Your chest is, you have the worst chest pain and you're panicking that you're having a heart attack and you don't understand why you have chest pain. You're so focused on it, your brain is so powerful that just by focusing so much on that one symptom, you can actually make it worse. Yeah, that's another symptom, is the chest pain. I know a lot of people have that. Your body, when you're in a stressed out state, your body will tense up your muscles, especially around your internal organs, as a protective mechanism to help to protect them. So it will tense up because your body thinks you're faced with a real threat. It will tense up the muscles to keep your internal organs safe, and then that tension can cause muscle pain. Again, if you're in a situation where you need that to happen, you're not even going to be noticing any pain. You're just going to be focused on staying alive. But when it doesn't make sense, you're going to notice the pain. You're going to notice all those little things that you wouldn't have noticed before. So the whole point of this video is to just let you guys know that anxiety symptoms are normal. I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor. If something doesn't feel right, I'm not going to tell you that what it is. Like, you should go and check with your doctor if your gut instinct tells you that something isn't right. I'm just here to share my own experiences and to let you guys know that if you are suffering with anxiety, you've gone to your doctor, the tests come back normal, nothing is wrong with you, you've been prescribed anxiety medication, maybe you're on anxiety medication, and you're getting symptoms all the time that make no sense to you, then it is completely normal. That is what anxiety does. You don't just feel stressed or have scary thoughts. You can have extremely weird symptoms. So the whole point of this video is to just let you guys know that that's normal. I have some short-term fixes and some long-term things that I want to share with you guys, little techniques and things that have helped me so much in my own journey. I want to make a whole other video like showing you guys those techniques. The whole point of this video is to just let you guys know it's normal, and to also just let you know that the very first step towards overcoming those symptoms is simply awareness. Like, that is the very first step. When I truly understood why my anxiety symptoms were happening, when I did the research and I figured it out for myself, that's when I was able to move past obsessing over my symptoms all day and worrying about what they could be, to moving forward to actually figuring out ways to manage them and move past them. And that's the whole point of my Instagram, that's the whole point of this channel, that's the whole point why I started this. While I was suffering, I promised myself that if I can get better, if I can manage my symptoms, then I'm going to help other people that are struggling too, people that don't understand what's going on, so you can get to that place of awareness, which is the first step, and then move forward and then figure out how to manage your symptoms from there. So if you guys have any questions about anything I've spoken about today, or you have any future topic ideas for me, you can leave them in the comments. I hope this video made sense to you, and I hope it brought some clarity into your situation. If you're struggling just like I was a few years ago, I hope that this just gave you some reassurance, gave you some comfort. Like I said, the very first step is to first understand what's happening, and then when you're not in that headspace where you're just obsessing all day long, it makes it that much easier to start to move forward and to start to be like, what can I do from here? So I have an anxiety symptoms book. It's for free. You can download it. I'm going to link it in the description box. It just lists the top 10 symptoms that I know many people struggle with. I also explain why that particular symptom happens, and I also share like a quick little tip to help you just kind of in the short term with it. I am going to make another video just talking about things that I've done to help me with symptoms. Yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll also link to that post where I talk more about every single anxiety symptom I can remember experiencing. If you scroll through my Instagram page, I do talk about symptoms all the time, and there's a lot of little posts in there that may help you according to your situation. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm thinking of posting at least once a week, every Tuesday or Wednesday for now. I can't believe that I'm actually finally doing my channel. It feels really, really good, and I hope that you guys get something out of each video that I post. I know this is only my second one, but I hope that you've taken something from this and it's brought you at least just a little bit of comfort if you're really, really struggling right now. So I can't wait to see you guys in future videos. Thank you so much for staying to the end with me, and I will talk to you again soon. Ciao.